Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and this morning we found out some more developments in the shooting of Michael Brown. We found out that Officer Darren Wilson is the man responsible for killing Brown, as well as some insinuation that Brown may have been involved in a strong arm robbery that occurred right before the shooting took place. And so, to really dig into this a little more deeply, I wanted to talk to my buddy who I haven't talked to in a while, or not as often as I used to, but we're gonna pick this back up. Miss Yvette Carnell, how you doing today, Yvette?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. How things over at BreakingBrown.com? Going good?
We're doing good. Growing.
Raising hell as always. That's what I love. I love it. All right, so okay. In case people are wondering why I'm looking so beautiful, it's because I was actually supposed to go on CNN right after the press conference held by this police chief in Ferguson, and the chief took too long to get on the mic, and his press conference took too long, so they sent me away. But I told them to leave my makeup on so I could look pretty when I got on camera. Black men don't get to look pretty that often. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Anyway, no. But in all seriousness, though, I just got back from the studio and I was trying to process this and trying to understand, like, okay, what does all this mean? It took them a while to release the name, and then the chief, I think, described the officer as a nice young man with no disciplinary record. Um, what do you think? I mean, when you saw the press conference, how did you feel about what you heard?
Well, I thought the most interesting thing about the press conference was the robbery aspect. But like I pointed out earlier, the robbery aspect wasn't anything new. That was already reported. That was already a witness who would actually went on World Star Hip Hop. I hate to, actually said that this occurred. But he said that Brown, the officer who confronted Brown, didn't know about the robbery at the time, and he told him just to get out the street. And so the two weren't intertwined. Now that doesn't sound like what the police chief was saying. The police chief said he matched the description of the guy who had robbed the convenience store, and that's what prompted him to stop Brown. So I think that's the most curious thing to me. And if you're arresting the guy, why do you tell him to get out the street? Because the friend Dorian Johnson said that Brown and himself were told get the F out the street by the officer. So what I'm trying to figure out at this point is what led up to the confrontation.
Hmm. Well, that's a good point. I didn't know this. I didn't know anything about the report on World Star Hip Hop and all that. As we know, World Star is just such an extraordinary media source for
I know.
for
Who
the
would
black
think
community, right?
that?
But hey, they got the tentacles. But you know what? It's funny, that you say that because you have to really ask yourself if that's what was going on. Why didn't you tell us last week? I mean,
Yeah.
what's it? They're up here talking about August 9th, and what's today? August 15th. Okay, you had many days to smear the character of Brown if that's what you wanted to do, to somehow explain and justify the actions of the officer if that's what you wanted to do. But you didn't do that, which tells me that there was a lot of work behind the scenes for people to
Mhm.
prepare to release this information the way they did. And you notice that in the press conference, I mean, first thing that the guy mentioned was the robbery before
Oh
he
yeah.
said the guy's name. I mean, it was like, yeah, well, this guy he robbed some people and he used force and he had a weapon. He didn't say Brown did it, but it was sort of like this insinuation that this officer shot a bad guy. And but again, it's like, well, why did it take you that long to share that information? And then you have to go deeper and even ask, why is it that we somehow still believe that this officer had the right to be judge, jury, and executioner, on that particular day? So it seems like there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. What are your thoughts?
The first thing he said, like within seconds of the press conference, which was an extraordinarily short press conference. I don't understand why the police chief just couldn't have detailed what was on the video. If Brown is on the video robbing someone, don't say I have a packet and in the packet you'll see what's going on. Just say, I have a video which shows that the guy who was the teenager who was gunned down had actually just robbed the store minutes before. Why can't you say that? But the thing that draws home to me is even if that is true, what I'm trying to understand is when there's a scuffle at the car and the kid takes off running and you haven't seen a weapon and I don't understand why you then unload your weapon at him. I don't understand why if you at no point in this whole conversation did anyone say that Brown had a weapon. the boy, the Dorian Johnson, who was at the witness who was at the scene at the time, said that the officer basically grabbed Brown around the neck, ground, shoved off and took off running. There are other accusations from the police department that know there was an actual struggle at the car. Either way, why are you firing shots? Like, why don't you call for backup if the guy's a big guy or whatever? Why are you firing shots? And then when the guy went down and supposedly had his hands up, then why are you still firing shots? Because if he has his hands up, there's no gun. So really, I understand what they're doing in terms of, Brown allegedly robbed a store for cigars or whatever the case may be. That's not the key question for me because, like I said, I had heard that rumor, last week. My question is, why did you kill him? You know, if he just
Interesting.
arrested Brown, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue. I mean, I think a few things that are definitely clear, no matter what information gets revealed, is that the police department has handled this all wrong. The chief, and you have to start with the chief. It just seems like this guy doesn't need to be in his job anymore. He didn't know how to handle the original incident. He didn't know how to handle the protests. Everything they did made their town look very, very bad. And if you want to have better policing that works with the community, you're going to have to get this guy out and really bring in a whole new regime of police conduct and police culture in that community. I think also, it's we can't, even if Brown was a suspect, which I think we have to acknowledge that, right? We have to
Hmm.
acknowledge the possibility that
Sure.
he wasn't an angelic kid. I mean, it's funny how you see both sides simplify their side of the argument.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's either a
he
thug or an angel in
right.
some.
Exactly, exactly. But that's how politics works, right? When things get politicized, people really entrench themselves in their position, and they get to the point where they're afraid to really seek the truth because somehow they feel sometimes that by seeking all the truth, they're giving something up to the enemy. Right. So if I'm a supporter of Michael Brown and his right for justice, and I say, well, but he might have robbed this store possibly, then somehow you're accused of being an Uncle Tom or giving something up to the police or whatever, right? In fact, I remember on CNN, I think I mentioned something very quickly where I said, well, the police should be more forthcoming. They have to share information. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe that's what they're trying to argue, and that's what I was saying. That's what they're trying to argue. Not that I believe that, but my thing was like, whatever you think happened, you need to tell somebody. You need to talk. You can't just be stoic and all this other stuff. And I remember on social media there were people that went crazy and said, "Oh, Dr. Boyce Watkins says that he thinks it was an accident." No, I didn't yet, you idiot. I didn't say that. But that's the way politics is. Politics turns people into idiots, right? You become one dimensional, simplified in your thinking. You hear the police say, I think I heard the chief say that this officer was a nice young man. Um, Maybe you think he is, but I mean, it looks like he did something that a nice young man probably should not and would not do. You're focused solely on the fact that that Brown may have been a suspect in this robbery, which somehow you believe justifies the right of this officer to kill him in the street when he was unarmed. So I think that the core point still remains that he didn't deserve to. There's nothing that says that he deserved to be shot that day. And then there's also the deeper issue of the community, where you've got what I argue is a police state. You've got a majority black community, majority white police department, and their goal is to just sort of control and contain people, protect the rich from the poor, protect the white from the black, as opposed to serving and protecting everyone, which is what a police department is supposed to do. That's what I'm getting from this. I'll let you get the last word, Yvette.
No, I think the takeaway from this is the militarization of police. I think that is for me the takeaway, and this is something that I've been talking about for years in terms of why does a police department need like this Humvee material that is designed, to withstand grenades? Like, why does a domestic police department need that? And I think what you see last night you saw calm for the most part in Ferguson. So what that tells me is that the police was intentionally escalating violence in that community. And you have police departments all over America that are just like that. And what I'll say is that white people should pay attention as well, because even though this sort of thing disproportionately impacts African Americans, what you see is that this is happening everywhere. It just happens to us first. Black people, are are the lowest on the totem pole in this country, and so we get the worst of it first. But it always comes for you. So we're like the canary in the coal mine. But you need to pay attention, because I remember the woman, the white woman in the 5 finger toe jogging shoes, who was slammed down to the ground and handcuffed and everything because she was jaywalking and didn't hear the officers calling her. You're hearing more and more about those sorts of things. So I would just, tell everyone, this is your black world, because this stuff, we know that the justice system is racist. But eventually this stuff spreads, and it's not about us anymore. It's not about just us anymore. It's about everybody. But by that time it's too late. So, if you want to preserve your rights and your liberties and your freedom, you need to speak up now, instead of being like, well, he was just a robber, whatever. It's gonna come for you. That's just the way it works.
Well, I think those are excellent points, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this further evolves. I don't know how much this changes things. This revelation the chief did. I think that the press conference could have been done much better. Um, because to me it was consistent with with their poor handling of almost everything else up until this point. So let's just see how it goes. So thank you very much, Yvette. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
No problem. You have a
Uh,
good one.
all right, you too, and everybody. This is Miss Yvette Carnell from BreakingBrown.com, and I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.